Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is July 26th, and today, of course, we're going to talk about the heat wave across the area. We're also going to talk about how this heat wave is going to end, a little bit of model discrepancy through the extended forecast here. You can see some forest fire smoke through Oregon. We'll check just how much of that is surface-based and where it's moving. See a little bit of forest fire smoke up there through BC, the Fraser River Valley, and the Moose Fire continues to burn out here on the Idaho-Montana border. You can see those low clouds along the Oregon coast. Nice days out there if you like 60-degree weather and some low clouds there, at least for the next few hours. So we're going to dive right into things here, and you can see that ridge built across Pacific Northwest, right on schedule. The thermal trough has moved up the coastline, strong storm amplifying that ridge up over Alaska there. And you can see the national view here. The excessive heat warnings are in effect for Puget Sound, Willamette Valley, southern Oregon, all of eastern Washington, and portions of eastern Oregon as well. And you can see the active monsoon continues down here through the southwest USA. Hot daytime temperatures, Medford, Oregon, National Weather Service here. You can see Klamath Falls 100 both days, today and tomorrow. Look at Medford 108 and 109. If you want to get away from that heat, North Bend, Brookings into the 60s for the next couple of days. So immediately on the coastline, there is some relief there. Look at Seattle yesterday, 87, average high 79. And today's record high is probably going down, folks. 92 in 2018. We are going to beat that almost certainly today. We may do it again tomorrow. The record high is 95. We could get into the mid or upper 90s tomorrow. It's going to be close. These 3 days out here from 2009 are probably safe at this point. But we've got probably 5 days in a row here of 90-degree temperatures here in Seattle coming up. So pretty impressive heat wave. Now taking a look here, this is the UW GFS model. Really high resolution here, and here's through the morning hours here. You can see a little bit of a cool down, but some places not getting out of the 80s for eastern Washington this morning. And you can see the heat just pulse through. There were really some really extreme heat going on through today across eastern Washington, up through Pacific, the Puget Sound here, and Willamette Valley. You can see along the immediate Pacific Ocean coast there, you get some relief. So that's where you want to go to beat the heat. Some places, towards western Whidbey Island and Strait of Juan de Fuca out over the water especially. But some of the places like Friday Harbor yesterday had 84 degrees. But anyway, as we push through into tomorrow, look at the warm up through eastern Washington, even warmer. Some places getting 108 plus. Big swath of 104 plus. You can see the detailed valley terrain here, and the model picks it up quite nicely. The Okanagan River Valley here, the valleys up north of Chelan and into the eastern slopes of the Cascades here, really getting warm. And as we go through Thursday, we're even going to get hotter in eastern Washington here too. Look at this swath of 108 plus. Tri-Cities areas just east of Yakima here. Puget Sound warming up into the 90s, probably flirting with 100 again for Portland, and some relief along the immediate coastline here. And you can see the chillier temperatures through the Strait of Juan de Fuca there as well. Now, checking this out, this is near surface smoke. If you look closely here, watch this overnight tonight. Some of this smoke looks like it might move down to the Puget Sound in the surface. So if we detect anything there, if you smell anything funny around the Seattle area tonight, it would be from those British Columbia forest fires. And you can see most of the surface smoke remains down here in California. Some looks like there are some forest fires going on here a little bit through portions of the Oregon Cascades, but that surface smoke should remain there or moving down to the south. Now watch the smoke aloft though here. You can kind of see it roll up through the area. So all this is going to be aloft that comes up towards Portland and Seattle from the south. So it could enhance the sunset, especially tomorrow night across the region. Maybe knock a degree or two off the temperatures. Who knows? But it'll depend on your location specifically and just how thick the smoke is. So now here we're looking at the European yesterday afternoon's run. This is the control run of the ensemble. You can see the ridge giving us our very hot weather here coming up through the week. But then you can see it start to flatten out a bit here as we go on in through Sunday. But the European keeps us a little bit warmer than the GFS on Sunday. The GFS kind of ejects this feature into the Pacific Northwest a little more, enhancing the marine onshore flow. But then you can see the European finally drops this trough down over us and through mid next week and really starts to cool us down from these extreme highs across the region here, and maybe some further troughing out here in the following weekend. But that's getting a bit far off into fantasy land here at this point. Now let's check the GFS. This is current, big ridge, big storm over Alaska, big trough amplifying our ridge here. And we go through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of some pretty extreme heat. We finally start to flatten this ridge out, and then you can kind of see this as we go through Sunday. Some marine influence come across the area here, a little bit of troughing showing up here, and then it digs this trough out further as we go on in through next week. So a little bit of discrepancy between the GFS and the European here on how warm Sunday is going to be. I know after 5 days of 90-degree temperatures, which is starting to look very likely here for Seattle, people are going to be dying for this marine push to come through here. GFS shows it happening on Sunday, the European not so much. But even some of the GFS ensemble members do not agree, and they do not show a very strong marine push coming in on Sunday, which we'll look at here in a moment. Now, looking for the Tri-Cities, 105 to 110 is going to be quite common over there for the Columbia Basin. We might get even 111 or 112 around some of the areas over there. And you can see next week's trough will cool down even eastern Washington some. Of course, it'll still remain warm, but these are much closer to average temperatures, much more seasonable for eastern Washington on in through next week. But the European, look at this, even the chilly European here showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight days, 90 plus for SeaTac, mid 90s, and today's temperature is probably, just an afterthought at this point. We are going to beat the all-time daily record high for SeaTac today. GFS, look at this, up towards 100 degrees, but this has been running a little bit warm, so you probably chop a few degrees off this. We're probably headed for the mid 90s through Friday and on into Saturday. And then you see the GFS kind of cool us down a bit. Look at the control run is actually down into the 70s. The mean still is in the mid 80s here. So we do get some relief, but it's not a full-blown marine push by any means, as we do bring the temperatures down towards more seasonable average temperatures as we go through early August, though, however. So there you can see the disagreement here between the control and some of the ensemble runs of the GFS here. So yeah, there's no guarantee we've got a big marine push coming here on Sunday by any means here. So European for Portland, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days flirting with 100 degrees if you believe the European model here, and another 90-degree day here on Sunday. The GFS a little bit chillier, but still Portland is looking mid 90s plus here for the next 5 days at least. And then a cool down looks to be coming on Sunday. Just how drastic it'll be is still up for debate. And you can see the cool down coming to much more seasonable temperatures here as we go through next week, which will be much welcome. So, and for SeaTac, last night we got down to 66. That's not a lot of time to let our houses cool off here. Our houses are meant to trap heat here in the Pacific Northwest. So these overnight lows are going to be kind of tough. And looking here, you can see the minimum temperature, 66, probably similar tomorrow, 66, 65, 65. So these are pretty warm overnight lows for the Seattle area here. So it's going to be tough to cool off the houses, especially, 2, 3, 4, 5 days into these 90-degree temperatures. Even the basements warm up. Like, I have a half underground basement here at my house, and it's already started to warm up quite a bit. Usually helps. You can sleep downstairs sometimes, but these attics and homes are going to be really warm, and there's not going to be much relief even overnight. You only go down into the 60s for a few hours before that sun gets back up and quickly brings us back into the 70s and 80s, and by the afternoon you're square into the 90s here for much of the region. So these overnight lows are going to be pretty nasty here coming up through the next week here too, and that's kind of the problem. If you can handle the hot afternoons if you cool down overnight. So that's why central air conditioning can be so important for a lot of these places. But if you're worried about that too, you can always check out the cooling centers around your area. Check it out online, Google that, local cooling centers, or you can just go down in the Puget Sound and swim around there for a minute in the really chilly water. But anyway, that just showing you this here really quick. Looks like we did get down to 66 degrees last night, 18.9 Celsius, 66 degrees. And you saw the high temperature yesterday, 30.6, was 87 for SeaTac. This is kind of the raw data here that I like to go over sometimes. I was a METAR instructor in my previous life here, and it kind of shows you everything you need to know here. It's got wind, ceiling, temperature, dew point, pressure, has remarks about sea level pressure, and it's got temperature high and low for the hour, and it does every 6 hour high and low temperature there, and you get a pressure tendencies here. And this little dollar sign means that maintenance is required on the ASOS there at SeaTac. It could be for any number of reasons. But yeah, so, if you want to get away from the heat, get along the immediate Puget Sound here. You can cool down some straight on to Fuca, immediate Washington, Oregon coast. But if you are off in eastern Washington or Oregon, you're going to have to go to a lake or a river, and watch out for those cold rivers and lakes still too. We have they're still pretty chilly comparatively. Once you're in 105 degrees here in eastern Washington, you go into one of those chilly rivers, it can really be a shock to your system. So, yeah, let's hope this forest fire smoke doesn't end up too bad, and let's hope these forest fires remain at bay through the month of August. I'll probably be out in Seattle today. Maybe I'll do a live stream at some point. I don't know yet, but I was going to do a dust level chase today, but I decided against it. If I go over, I'll go over tomorrow. It'll be a little bit warmer, and maybe I'll cover some of the heat impacts over there in eastern Washington. So, yeah, we'll probably do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then. Have a good day.